Imagine this, a company that started in 2008 as a simple restaurant listing website today wants to control what you eat, how fast you get it, and even which restaurant to buy from. Sounds powerful, right? But here's the twist. This same company stock fell by more than 40% from its all-time high. This is the story of Eternal Limited. So the big question is that, is this correction a golden opportunity or a warning signal? Let's find out. Hey folks, CA Rachana Ranade here and I welcome you all to a very informative video about Eternal Limited. Now you might be like, Rachana, you have already covered so many videos. Why are you again going to do a video on Eternal? Reason is very simple, because in today's video we are going to cover all these 5 points. Now out of these 5, the first 2 are the ones which we have already discussed earlier, so I'm just going to breeze through these points. But balance 3 points are something very interesting, fresh information. So video is going to be extremely informative. Keep on watching the video till the end. In finance, we talk about leverage constantly, using less to generate more. But what about developers? The best developers today aren't just writing codes anymore. They are working with AI, prompting it, building with it, treating it more like a teammate than a tool. But learning this isn't straightforward. Random tutorials and solo experimentation can feel slow and unstructured, and that's where Outskill comes into picture. They have been hosting seminars with a focus on helping India grow in AI and tech. But wait, this program is not about learning AI from scratch. It's more of a level up. This is designed for engineers, developers, and data scientists who already know how to build but want to integrate AI into their workflows. It's a 2-day live session focused on practical immersion instead of just theory. You will learn things like how models like GPT and Claude can work together, what AI-led coding looks like in practice, and how full-stack AI agents are built. What's interesting in the outcomes is people returning to coding, applying AI in their organizations, and even experienced learners accelerating their progress. The session is scheduled on Friday evening and Saturday, which would run for around 10 to 12 hours in total. It's usually priced pretty high, but they have opened it up for free for this cohort. To enroll, check out the link in the pinned comment and in the description box below. Now let's focus on the business segments. There are 4 key business segments. The very first one is food delivery, next one is Hyperpure, next one is quick commerce, and the last one is going out. Now how do you know these names? These names are familiar because of a different name. For example, instead of food delivery, if I say Zomato, this is more familiar to you, right? Instead of quick commerce, if I say Blinkit, this one is more familiar. Instead of going out, if I say District app, this one is more familiar. Now all these 3 segments fall into the B2C category, because it's like the business is directly serving the customers, people like you and me. But this one, which is Hyperpure, this is a B2B business segment. Okay, so this one, in simple words, is nothing but they supply raw material to hotels, and that is why we say it's like a B2B business. Now let's understand the revenue split for each of these segments. For food delivery, back in 2022, their revenue share was 81%. Now it is around 40%. For Hyperpure, earlier the revenue share was 13%. Now 30%. For quick commerce, earlier it did not exist in Zomato back in Eternal back in 22. So earlier it was 0. Now it is 26%. And for going out, earlier the revenue was 6%. Now it is 4%. Well, now that you know about the business segments in detail, you know about the revenue split, you should also understand what is about the EBITDA picture. So if you have a look at this, how does their EBITDA look like? I have details for financial year 23, 24 and 25. Now if you have a look at food delivery became positive at EBITDA level in 2024. But if I'm talking about 2025, barring food delivery, all others are still in negative. But you might be like, Rachana, you are talking about FY25 data. That's 31st March 2025. We are in April 2026. What about Q3 results at least? Q3 results are of course out. We are going to discuss that towards the end of the video. So keep on watching the video till the end. Now let's quickly understand about the different reasons for why the stock saw a massive rally. Like you can see, the stock moved up by almost 7 times in a very short span of time, right? So what we are going to do, we are quickly going to talk about top 3 reasons that led to this massive rise. The very first one is at a company level, where the profitability of the company was visible in the financial year 2024 for the very first time. If you have a look at this, you can see that the company was in losses till 2023. 24 was the first year when it came into profits. The second second one is the segmental performance also improved. And the primary one was Blinkit. There was a boom in Blinkit growth, and their revenue grew 155% on year basis, and it became one of the biggest growth drivers for the company. Even if I were to talk about something beyond food expansion, so let's say if I'm talking about the ticketing business, if I'm talking about the hyper pure business, the company also saw massive growth in these segments as well, and that was the reason why it gave an overall positive sentiment for the stock price. The third one was a real game changer for the stock when the stock got included in the Nifty 50 index, and obviously it leads to massive passive inflows in the stock as well. And all these reasons, be it the retail investor demand, be it the institutional investor demand, be it the global funds demand, all these led to good demand in the stock and thereby leading to the stock price rally. Now let's focus on top 6 reasons as to why this stock corrected by almost 40% from its highs. If you know, the stock was at an all-time high level in October 2025, and since then the stock corrected by almost 40%. Now the very first reason why I feel that some cracks started to show in this stock was mainly because of the high PE. And when I say high PE, you know how much was that? In October 25, the highest point for PE was 1803, right? This is extremely crazy. Whenever a PE is at such a high level, it is assumed that the growth will continue at the same pace. Profitability will be at the best possible point. So basically, perfection is priced into the stock price. Okay. And whenever something starts going wrong, then automatically the stock starts to get a big beating. Now, on top of that, whenever the overall market sentiments are also not that great, and market sentiments had not been great since September 24, so it had been already more than a month that the market was not doing well. So, overall bearish sentiment plus a high PE is like one of the worst combinations that any stock can see, and that is exactly what we saw. From 1000 PE, the stock PE started to go down and down and down, and even today it is more than 1000 in spite of the 40% correction. In fact, at the lowest point with a 40% correction, PE was still 900. But always remember that when you don't have a listed peer, or if you have a listed peer but that is not doing as well financially as the company is doing, for example, for Zomato it is Swiggy, but Swiggy is not even profitable right now. So in such cases, companies do demand a high PE, but when overall sentiment is not that great, stocks do take a beating, and that's what happened with Eternal. Let's move on with number 2. If you see, Eternal actually tanked by more than 25% in a month, and the primary reason everyone knows about this, that was about the blockade in the Strait of Hormuz. Some interesting point that I saw in this article was that they have mentioned that India's food service sector is highly dependent on LPG, with nearly 90% of the 50 lakh organized restaurants relying on commercial cylinders because PNG access is largely limited to select metros. So in simple words, what happened was that because of the blockade in the Strait of Hormuz, be it LPG, LNG, crude oil, PNG, all these were facing shortages, not only in India, across the globe. Now, because of LPG shortages, 90% of the 50 lakh organized restaurants started to see a hit. Either they were not getting cylinders or they were getting limited number of cylinders. I had a discussion with few restaurants in Pune. They said, for example, Rachna, if we were getting 3 cylinders every day, now we are getting only 2. So because of such a shortage, what happens is that they limit the number of dishes. So if that be so, the number of food items that they can sell via Zomato, that reduces. If that reduces, automatically the orders on Zomato, the overall GOV, NOV, all these things are going to get impacted. So this was again one of the reasons why the stock saw a decline. One more reason, I'm sure you already know about this, but Dipender Goyal formally resigned as MD, CEO and director of Eternal, and Albinder Dhinsa, who was the leader of Blinkit, he has taken charge. Acha, does this mean that it's all over? Obviously not. But whenever there is a change, there is some level of discomfort. Till the new leader comes in, till the new leader proves himself, till that time there is a little bit of jitter, and that's what the stock again saw in the stock price. Now let's also talk about one technical analysis pointer. So for that, I'm going to take you to TradingView. See, this was one of the previous highs that the stock had seen back in July 25. And if you see at that time, I'm just going to draw an Alt V. At that time, RSI was trading at 79. Now from here, what happened was that the stock price did go up. From what level? From around 312, 313 level to this level in October 25 at the level of what? at the level of 368. So from 313 to 368, can I say the stock price rallied? Answer is yes. If I were to draw an alt from here to here, correct? But what about RSI? So if I were to draw a line here, of course, the price has peaked out on 16th of October, but RSI peaked out on October 15th. So I'm just going to draw an alt V here. So now if you see what about RSI, you can see that RSI has formed a lower high. This is a classic example of RSI divergence, where RSI forms a lower high, whereas stock price forms a higher high. This is a case where the initial weakness starts becoming visible, and then you know what happened with the stock price. The stock price went down, and you might be like, why can't we see the latest data? Because 3 months data has been hidden, but you can clearly see the downfall in the stock. What about one more reason? Here you can see that there were news articles which said that Motilal or other brokers as well, they were seeing the risk of Eternal being drawn into a dogfight. Now, why did they use this word? Mainly because they were saying that they are competing with other players, especially in the quick commerce space, be it because of Swiggy, be it because of something, Swiggy, Instamart, or Zepto, or other players, where they were offering high discounts. So even Zomato, Blinkit had to offer high discounts. There was intensifying competition. Minimum order values were given. So order for 99, free delivery. If someone is saying that, they had to adjust. So intense competition was again because of which the stock saw some beating. And ultimately moving to the sixth reason, you can see that there were massive outflows in the stock. Now why? If you have a look at this, you will see that Eternal's investability weighting in FTSE All World Index was cut from 82.74% to 49.5%. Now, what does this tell us? That when overall indices reduce the weightage, all the passive funds are automatically going to reduce their weightage to match the index accordingly. And that is the reason why, with massive outflows, obviously more supply is going to lead to a stock downfall. All these were the major reasons. If you feel that there are few more reasons for the stock price to fall, do let me know that in the comment section as well. Now let's move on with the Q3 FY26 highlights, and for that I'm going to show you a very beautifully written blog by my team. And for that, let's go to rachanaranade.com. This is the blog. I'm going to give you the link in the pinned comment and description, because I'm not going to read out the whole blog for you. I'm just going to give you some key highlights, but the key highlights, after you go through that, if you feel that I need to know more, please check out the whole blog as well. Okay, so first things first, I think this one is important about the strong financial performance. See, whenever we track any company's results, three things is what we must track. One is revenue, one is EBITDA, one is profitability, correct? So about revenue, if you see, revenue from operations grew to 16,315 crores, which was a 200% year-on-year increase on a consolidated basis. Then if I'm talking about adjusted EBITDA, here there was a 28% year-on-year growth, and EBITDA went up to 364 crores. And if you check out net profit of the company, it grew by 73% year-on-year, and it jumped from 59 crores to 102 crores. So just to quickly wrap up one more time, revenue from operations grew at 200% YOY, adjusted EBITDA grew 28% YOY, and net profit grew at 73% YOY. So all in all, good, strong financial performance. Now in this adjusted EBITDA, there is something extremely interesting, because if you remember, I told you that there was only one segment, which was food delivery, which was in EBITDA positive zone, in the EBITDA positive territory. But Q3 FY26 was extremely special. And why? For that, if you have a look at this, you can see adjusted EBITDA Q3 FY26. Now if you have a look at this, of course, food delivery was always in positive. If you look at quick commerce, it was always in negative, and Q3 FY26 was the first time when it became positive. If you look at B2B supplies, Hyperpure, again same, it was always in negative. Q3 FY26 was the first time that it became positive. So in simple words, out of 4 segments, 3 segments have become positive in adjusted EBITDA. Of course, these are extremely small numbers. It is on like a borderline thing. It can always slip into the loss territory, but at least one step at a time, at least they have become EBITDA positive. So they will have to focus more on going out, and they will have to control this one as well. Okay. Ultimately, everyone understands that if I'm talking about Eternal as a stock, one of the primary growth engines which everyone is focusing on is the Blinkit growth strategy. And if Blinkit were to grow very fast, one parameter that you must track is store expansion, because more and more stores they have in different areas, they'll be able to serve more and more people. So what about their growth in the store? stores. Now, if you have a look at this, the company mentioned that in Q3, company added 211 net new stores, and currently the number of stores stands at 2027, which was slightly below their guidance of 2100 stores. But important thing is that the company says that company remains on track for a target of 3000 stores by March 2027. Now let's move on with the Q4 results, which are scheduled on 30th of April. So of course I can't tell you the numbers right now, but what I'm going to tell you right now are the top 5 points that you should track in the Q4 numbers. How should you look at all these numbers going forward? What I am going to do is that I'm going to make a nice small carousel post for Q4 results whenever they are declared, and that carousel post will be uploaded on my Instagram channel. If you have still not followed my Instagram handle, please do that so that you can get to know about this carousel whenever it is posted, right? First thing to check is the Blinkit growth versus the profitability trade-off. Now, what do I mean by that? See, because of intense competition, Blinkit has to ensure that they are on a very good mode as far as the revenue growth is concerned. They have to compete not only with Swiggy, Instamart, but also Zepto. I'm sure Big Basket is also trying to step up their overall quick commerce business. So they are getting a lot of competition, and that is the reason why they have to ensure that their growth path is undisturbed. See, but whenever they want to ensure that they have a higher market share, they'll have to offer better discounts. They'll have to give more and more ease to the customer, and that can hamper the profitability. More discounts is equal to less profitability. So we will have to ensure that both are on track. Growth is not at the cost of losses. Growth has to be there, and even profitability has to slowly and steadily grow. That's what we have to track in the Q4 numbers. Second one is store expansion, that I already told you right now that they have a target of 3000 stores. But they had also very clearly mentioned that if the competition is still at an intense level, they'll still keep it at 3000 stores. But if the competition eases out a little bit, then they said that we may even aim for 3500 to 4000 stores by March 2027. Always remember, like I told you right now, more stores is equal to more deliverable areas where they can deliver products, and that will obviously lead to more and more revenue for the company, right? Next one is food delivery growth stability. What is definitely going to matter is the GOV number and NOV number. Without fail, we have to track this. And why am I saying this is extremely important? That is because of the fourth point, which is the LPG crisis that we discussed some time ago. Because of the shortage of cylinders and all the organized restaurants facing this problem, obviously there is going to be a slight fall, is what all analysts are expecting. But to what extent is what we should check in the Q4 numbers. So do track the GOV and NOV numbers because of the LPG crisis as well. And finally, what is extremely important is the FY27 outlook that the management gives. This is the outlook for the next whole financial year that is typically given in the Q4 results. We should check 3 key parameters. Number 1, we should check what strategy do they talk about as far as dealing with the competition is concerned. Number 2, we will have to understand what outlook do they give for the growth, top line basically, and very important, the profitability timeline for the final one, which is Hyperpure, as well as how to ramp up the profitability for balance 3 segments. Okay. So overall, we have discussed 5 points that you should focus on. If you did find that this video was extremely interesting and helpful, don't forget to smash the like button. Please don't forget to share this video with your friends as well. I'll see you in the next one. Till then, take care. Jai Hind and bye-bye. You might have come across such advertisements on various social media platforms. Please note, all of these are fraudsters promising unbelievable returns through stock tips. I don't provide any calls or advisory services. I provide only educational content through my social media handles and through my website rachanaranade.com and rachanaranade.in.